So Julia, what are your thoughts when we look at what's going on here? I mean, first of all, the rates for mortgages, fantastic. If you own bonds, you're not happy.
Yes, buy low, sell high is the oldest adage in the financial playbook, and it is not. There hasn't been a time in the last 40 years that money has been as low as it is. So it's an amazing time to lock in low interest rates and use other people's money to juice returns.
What do you advise to people when they're buying something? I mean, do you advise for them to take out these long mortgages, or how should people do it at this point?
I think you want to be opportunistic and look at what mortgage rates are and determine what's right for you. You know, we thought a year ago mortgage rates might be trickling upwards. Instead, the exact opposite's happening.
Right.
And right now, you have a really great opportunity with rates being where they are. So you should look at all the menu of options and figure out what's best for you.
How about taking out loans? I mean, what are you finding? Jason, I'll start with you. When people need to get a loan to buy a home, because now is the time to buy a home. Everybody's saying either refinance if you haven't already. You could tell me whether or not you agree, but that seems to be the theme. And if you're going to get out and buy a home, it might be a good time to do so. But how about getting a mortgage?
Well, what's interesting is right now, I had a closing last week that was a little over $13 million. Those are always all cash deals, right? Like always all cash deals. But because mortgage rates were where they were, the buyer said, I'm going to take advantage of the climate and get cheap paper, which is exactly what he did. So you're seeing that across the board now. There's just a lot of opportunity. So, you know, speak to your mortgage banker and see what works for you, because you can really use this to your advantage if you act on it.
Julia, what are you finding?
I agree with Jason in that the higher value transactions are usually financed on an opportunistic basis as opposed to on a needs basis. And so if it makes sense from a dollars and cents standpoint, people will finance even if they don't need to.
What about a regular person buying $1 million home or an $800,000 home when they go to take out a mortgage? Does that seem to be easy to get a mortgage and at decent rates, or not so much? Julia?
Very easy to get a mortgage in most cases. Of course, it depends on the creditworthiness of the buyer and the situation.
Right.
But it makes a lot of sense to look at how long one thinks that one's going to be holding the market, the asset, because if you're looking to hold it for 30 years, a 30-year rate makes sense, but most people aren't. And so even lower 10-1 or 7-1 ARM might make more sense.
Now, affordability became a topic that we were talking about over the last month or two. What's your advice, Jason, when you talk to the folks? We might even see rates go negative.
Yeah.
You know, some of their assets that they have, right? Even their principal, even if they had it in some safe havens, they're losing some money. What are you thinking?
So, Nicole, you know what buyers like better than cheap mortgage rates? Cheap housing. So what's most important is where are pricing on housing and where does it go from here? And we have to look at what's happening in the broader economy right now. You know, I tell everyone that the coronavirus should have just been a fire drill. Instead, it's a 4-alarm fire in our economy that's touching all aspects of it.
Right.
And that uncertainty creates pressure on pricing in the housing market.
And when we talk about affordability and better prices, great rates, what are some of the factors that you're putting in there when you're looking over the next 10 years, Julia?
The factor that I like to look at most right now is that we don't know what the future holds. It's always uncertain.
Right.
You can look at trends and make an educated guess on where you think the market is going to be in 2, 5, 10 years. And right now, with the fear that's in the market and the fact that most buyers are pulling back, you have a lot of leverage at the negotiating table if you are one of those brave buyers, and you can price in or negotiate in a further discount to get you into where you think the market might ultimately go.
Let's talk about some of the home builders and what they're building. What is the need? What is selling? We always like to look at Toll Brothers, Hovnanian, Pulte, KB Home. These are the hot home builders, right? What are some of the trends that you're seeing?
Well, first of all, look at the home builder ETFs right now. They're down significantly from their highs. Some of them are down as much as 20%. I think some of them are down 7% and 6% today. So they're under pressure right now. But you're looking at the homes that are selling across the country. They're mid-sized homes that are not the overbuilt, the oversized homes that we saw during the last run-up about 10 years ago. So they tend to be smaller in variety, but they're concerned right now about things like global supply chain. Will they have the products available?
They were all down 10% today.
Now 10%. See, last time I checked, it was 7. So.
Well, some were 7, some were 10. But the point is that they're getting hit.
Yes.
And should they be getting hit? That's the question about the entire market. Was it baby out with the bathwater? Everything, sell everything. Have the home builders been in a good place? Are you more concerned, Julia, about materials and timing and labor and things like that?
It's definitely a double-edged sword right now with the supply chain aspect of everything being held up by some of the world events, which could impact supply. But then you look at the demand side, which generally it might stop executing in periods of fear, but it doesn't stop accruing. And so I think that maybe short-term there's going to be an impact, but long-term things are going to get back to normal because people always need housing.
Final thought about some deal making. I don't know whether you're the buyer or the seller, but what's your final thought on the deal making of 2020?
So in this time of uncertainty, feel confident, and when you make a decision, do your homework, do your research, and buy smartly.
Your last thought?
I agree with what Jason said, and I think it's about looking at the longer term and not being so concerned about what's happening right now, but what's going to be happening in the future.
Yeah, and housing's just, we always said real estate's such a great investment, but if you bought last year at $1.5 million and now the house is worth $1 million, it's heart-wrenching, but you might be able to get some deals now. We'll see.